All right. So today is the Friday, and we're going to go for some questions. And I think the questions is quite fairly okay, not too difficult. And and I think if you at the end of, I think maybe perhaps at the end, if you have any questions, you may put it in the chat. Also is possible, I think, for today. All right, let's go to the questions. Okay, could y'all see? Can, all right. Okay, let me remove the, all right. My question is how to extend mindfulness for a longer and longer periods of time. I currently face these obstacles. 1. In sitting meditation, I'm able to stay somewhat focused on my breath. It is not continuous awareness or 100% clarity on the breath. My awareness hovers around the breath, but it is on the breath. At that time, thoughts are few or none. At some point, the awareness drops and thoughts comes flooding in. These thoughts, after a quiet mind, are exceptionally strong, not your typical random thoughts that are casually float in and out of our mental space during meditation. They just keep coming. My mind feels helpless at the onslaught and becomes restless and anxious. Okay. All right, A. Why are the thoughts after a quiet mind so exceptionally strong? Do these thoughts come because my mind is bored from just staying on the breath and can't wait to break free? Did I experience sloth and torpor that I could not see, but which caused my energy and determination to drop? Okay. All right. Now, okay. So here you said that your mindfulness goes into a very quiet mind, and after the quiet mind, the thoughts are a lot. This is all flooding in. What happened then? Now, first of all, the mind goes into quietness. First of all, when the mind goes into quietness, what happened inside that? Then after that, we can talk about your what do you call this? All your questions. So when the mind goes into drop into quietness, there are, put it in this way, there are two types of quietness. One is that when you are not mindful, and the other one is that you are mindful. When you are not mindful, when you go into that quietness, it can stretch the time, the time as if like it will stretch for a period of time. And when it's not mindful, that is where the faculties also become, will start to drop. But when it starts to drop, but your mind doesn't really get out of the quietness there could be perhaps when this quiet mind occur, then there could be some kind of craving for the quiet mind. And this quiet mind comes in and there's a craving for it, It is understandable because our mind is full of thinking. Throughout the day, and thoughts, and sometimes restless. But when it comes into a meditation and suddenly we are, the quietness comes in. And the quietness comes in, it's so easily for the mind to just hold on to it and attach to it without realizing it. Without realizing it, then the whole faculties drop. So the faculty starts to drop, and then you're inside there. Now, after a while, your mindfulness starts to kick in. Then you are out of that quietness. Then we talk about that in a short while. Okay. Now the second one about the quietness, it's the quietness that comes with a lot of mindfulness and clarity. Sometimes you're quiet, not much of changing inside there, but your mind is still very alert. Another type of quiet with the mindfulness is that when the mind is able to notice a lot of things, still able to, but the mind is totally quiet from all the thinking and thoughts. And that one is good. That one is good because you can still see the arising and changing phenomena, passing away phenomena, or whatever phenomena that they are noticing, they are still having some activity inside there, but the mind is quiet. The mind is just very quietly observing them. There's no labeling, there's no labeling, there's no wandering thoughts, nothing at all, but just only the phenomena arising, passing away, or changing. That one is good. The first one, just now I said that when the mind is mindful, but it is quiet, but it is quiet. This time also, you also got to be careful. You got to be careful also, because of it may later part it will drop the mindfulness, and then it will go into a quietness without mindfulness. The whole mind goes into quietness without mindfulness. It quiet, as I said, I repeat again, it's quiet in the beginning, not much of changing, it's just quiet, you're still mindful. But then after that, you still stay with that object of that quietness. Then the faculty starts to drop, but you still hold on to that quietness. But this time, there's not much of mindfulness already. Then when there's not much of mindfulness, you don't realize it because that you are still inside there. That is where your A questions come in. Why after a quiet mind are so why are the thoughts after a quiet mind so exceptionally strong? Because when you come out from that quiet mind, and then your mindfulness is not strong. Your mindfulness is like, kind of like you are at the bottom, and then you try to pull the mindfulness up. You try to pull the awareness up, and during that time, the thoughts are all bombard you, because just now you thought that you're away from everything. Now everything will come in. So when it comes in, you feel it as exceptionally strong, as if like you are helpless. You're helpless in controlling it. Because why? Because of the faculties has dropped. Especially the mindfulness has dropped. Usually, when the mindfulness has dropped, the other four factors of the faculties also becomes to drop or imbalance already. Okay, so here the thoughts are strong because when the mindfulness is not strong, after that, then therefore this one are strong. Now, if your mindfulness is strong when the mind is quiet, when you're fully aware and fully alert of what is going on, and then after that you make an intention to come out from that quietness, and you note other things, then it is perfectly all right, because the mind can just switch over to another object. Then the mindfulness and all other factors are still able to protect the mind from all the thoughts from coming in. Do these strong thoughts come because my mind is bored from just staying on the breath and can't wait to break free? No, not I. Do these strong thoughts come because my mind is bored from just staying on the breath? The moment that you have, when you are bored, that means that time also the mindfulness also starts to drop. That time that means the mindfulness starts to drop, and because of its quite a pleasant state, the quietness of the mind. When it's quite a quiet, pleasant state, you just want to hang in there. As I said, when you hang in there, the mindfulness drop further. So, in a way, you kind of like there's a slight delight into it. Did I experience sloth and torpor that I could not see, but which caused my energy and determination to drop? That is also a possibility. There is also a possibility. Now, a possibility here, it means that you stretch the quietness for an even longer period of time. You stretch it longer period of time. That is to say, initially when you have some degree of mindfulness, let's say, then the quietness is there. You notice it, and then after that, without strong mindfulness and without clear mindfulness, the mindfulness starts to deteriorate. And then when you come to quietness, you are quiet, but not much of mindfulness, or mindfulness is already gone. This time is only more or less concentration only. A very calm concentration, not much of energy. Then you stretch the time further, and that means you're still in the quietness for a longer period of time. And because the energy drops, then here, for after a while, the slight sloth and torpor will start to come in already. It starts to come in, and then after that, your energy, everything drops. And after that, when you realize it, when you want to pull it up, then again, it's like from the bottom, you try to pull it up, and that time, it's already the sloth and torpor is there, the restlessness also come in, everything also come in. So it all depends. Sometimes when yogi practice, it all depends on the yogi. Sometimes the yogi practice, it doesn't come into the sloth and torpor. It comes to the quietness only, but not the sloth and torpor yet. Then after that, it goes into a sloth and torpor. But for a beginner yogi, if you're a beginner, this quietness, the moment you have this quietness, very fast it already drop into sloth and torpor already. Very fast, because the faculties is not strong in the beginning, Then they're very easy for the mind to drop into quietness, and then goes into sloth and torpor. One of these thing of this sloth and torpor is for those who are doing samatha meditation, and then you switch over to vipassana meditation. This is quite common. Second common thing for a person who drop into sloth, this is what do you call that? This quietness. The second part is those who are doing anapanasati, using the in-breath, out-breath. You see, when you use an in-breath, out-breath for the main object for vipassana, now this one you have to have a lot of energy. Now, comparatively, let's say, anapana object, a rising, falling of the abdomen object, okay, and also objects of the sensations of the body, hardness, softness, buttock sensation, and so on. This, I would call it as a sensation of the body. Now, in anapana object, these objects are they are finer compared to a rising, falling object. They are finer. When it's finer object, that means you have to have more effort. Overall, you have to make more effort in order for you to able to sustain that object clear, and for you to able to arouse more mindfulness. Because if your object is not clear, then the mindfulness will drop. Because the proximate cause for mindfulness, it's a predominancy of an object. And predominant, that means it's clear to you at that present moment. So Anapana's object is a more finer object compared to a rising falling object. A rising falling object is in a way more gross, slightly more gross than Anapana object. You use slightly less energy, but you still need energy, not. But compared to Anapana itself, but then you compare to a sensation of the body. Sensation of the body here, different sensation of the body. They create a lot of. I mean like the pain sensation or the pulling sensation, pushing sensation. Sometimes all these sensations, they are very clear. So that one is easy for the mindfulness to arise because the object is already clear. Okay? But then we may think, so in that case, why don't we go into just noting the sensation will do? Since it's clear object, it is because that this sensation, these bodily sensation objects, they are not there all the time. They are not there all the time. They are there, but sometimes you cannot know how to feel it. This is one thing. Second, the thing is that they are stationary objects. A stationary object, it's more difficult compared to a moving object. A moving object is the rising and falling and the in-breath, out-breath. These are moving objects. So when you're sitting down, the stationary object, the object here are all stationary. So it's a bit difficult for you to take it up. So finally, it's better to have Anapana or rising and falling, because they are moving object and they are all the time there, They're all the time there. Because they're all the time there, then it's easy for the mind to hold on to them. So now you have this Anapana and this rising and falling. My experience, together with my experience and also the yogi experience, nowadays, our mind is not as powerful as those days when the time of the Buddha. In the days of the time of the Buddha, the Buddha teach something a little bit, they can develop it very well. Whereas our spirituality over 2,500, 2,600 years, our spirituality has dropped. So when your spirituality has dropped, that means we have to make more effort. So in order to make more effort, we need something a little bit more grosser for us for the mind to hold on to. So therefore, for nowadays, if you're a beginner, I will try to push you towards rising and falling first. Not because I follow Mahasi method, because of its conditionality of human beings. I would say 90%. I wouldn't say 100%. Maybe. I mean, if you still want to choose Anapanasati, it's not a problem. But you have to make more effort, and the effort that is going to come in is not from Anapanasati. That you have to come in from your walking meditation and your standing meditation. You cannot harap on the Anapanasati in order to make things clear. So you must need a lot of arousing of that mindfulness from another posture, not from a sitting posture, or not from an in-breath, out-breath. So from another posture. So you must take a more cross posture or walking or sitting, or even when you sit down, you take a whole body, experience of your body, a clear sensation, then only you go back to the in-breath, out-breath. Because you want to sustain the clarity of the in-breath, out-breath, you need to have a lot of energy. So that's why, due to the energy is not enough, usually when you do this in-breath, out-breath, a lot of people tends to drop into the quietness because of this thing. Okay? All right. Number 2, daily activities. I notice a similar thing happening to my awareness in daily life. After being quite nicely mindful for 1-2 weeks, at some point my mind gives up. It cannot take it, loses concentration and lapses to enjoy its freedom. How do I strike a balance between excessive energy versus striving, while being mindful, patient, and yet keeping my goal in mind? Now, here it will be good. It will be good that during the daily activities, it will be good that you do some walking meditation also. There'll be times your mindfulness will drop. Even a person who goes into a retreat for a long period of time, so every now and then the mindfulness also drop, although they are in the best of condition to meditate. If even the yogi is hardworking, or 1 hour walk, 1 hour sit, 1 hour walk, 1 hour sit, the mindfulness also drop at some point, because they are impermanent. And sometimes the kilesa can be quite strong, the defilements can be quite strong, the hindrances can be quite strong. So when it affects our mind, when it affects the mind, this one drops. So it will be good that we change. Sometimes we change our posture of meditation. We change our posture of meditation, do a bit of walking meditation. And the walking meditation, not just only kia ki kia lo, not only walk up and down. You call it walking meditation, that one. You got to do it. I mean, you do have to do it precisely, clearly, just like you are doing it for your sitting meditation. Walking meditation, you have to do it precisely, clearly. Of course, we have no time to go into all of that. But when you do it precisely, clearly, then only you go into your sitting. Then you'll see there's a lot of much more clearer in your sitting, and the mind, because of you arouse it during the walking, then it's so much more easier. So your daily activities, you mix it up with your walking meditation. And don't feel too disappointed also, with when the mindfulness drop. What is important is that we have all these technique to arouse back again. All these technique, how to do, what to do. You see, during the retreat, it's very important that, to me, that the yogi understand the technique of walking, a technique of sitting, and so on. Because during a retreat, there's nothing else for you to do except that apply those techniques again and again in order to arouse that clear, sustainable mindfulness, sharpness of the mind. If you don't have the techniques, and if you don't get the techniques right now, then every time you do, nothing much, nothing gain, or a little bit much, and you don't feel happy about your spiritual progress. So one of the major thing that I've seen in yogis, that of course those yogis is that they are weak in the technique of how to walk, how to sit, and how to this one. They have all the energy, they have all the energy. They are very determined to practice, but they don't have the proper technique to go into a more deeper and so on. And that one, I teach it in the retreat now. Much more of that in the retreat. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Good. Your question also, after we will come back, because a number of people also are asking something like this. Now, during one of my meditation last week, I noticed there was a movement inside my body in both of the thigh area. It moved in spinning and side direction. When I paid attention to it, I felt that my physical body was slowly starting to move too. However, when the thought or urge to stop the physical movement arises, the body movement stops immediately. But when I turned my noting back to the movement, everything came back again. In this situation, am I the one who actually controlling the movement? All right. Okay. Should I continue to note it, or should I go back to the rising and falling? Okay. Now let's see. All right. There are at times when your sensation of your body, like your rising, falling, or other bodily sensation, they tend to move in a way that, like what you described, it goes into a sideways, it goes here, it goes there, and you notice it as such, which is good. You notice it as such. But at times, this type of sensation, it can go stronger as you pay attention to it. After for some time you notice it, or you notice it repeatedly again and again, then it seems to go stronger and more powerful, which is good in a way. And another thing that comes up is that, like what you say also, the body tend to mimic or to move at the same rhythm like that noticed object. For example, if the object is moving sideways, let's say sideways, left, right, then the whole body, the sitting body, the posture here also tends to want to move with the rhythm of the noting of that object that is noting, and it goes left, right also. Sometimes if the yogi is not careful about these things, then this body will start swinging quite a lot. Start swinging quite a lot. It's still noting. Initially, it's still noting, but this is not very good, because in the later part of the meditation, it may be in one sitting, on the later other sittings, then this physical movement will overwhelm the object that you are noticing. The object that you're noticing that time was left, right now, but now the physical movement becomes even more stronger than that thing. Then it begins to cover up your object, those objects, and then only the movement of the body is there. Then this time is usually, if the yogi, if not careful, it tends to go into even more movement of the body, even more shaking of the body. And the more they shake the body and the more they move, sometimes the joy also comes up, because that time you feel quite good, quite easy to meditate. Not to say you're easy, because the body is all the tension and pulling all gone, because of the exercise that you're going through. So that is one thing. Now, so if you don't go into that particular way, then what can we do? So here the body is moving, the posture is moving a little bit, and then the object is there. So let's say your body is not moving that much; it's a little bit right now. So you already notice it, which is good. So what you should do then? Now this time, when you notice these bodily movements, now let's say it comes in sporadically, once in a while, the object come in, the body move a little bit, then after that the body stop on its own, then that one is okay. Then all you need to do is just continue the meditation. It's fine. Another scenario is that it keep on moving, the body keep on moving, and the object is also moving, in that sense. So this time you got to make an intention. You don't worry about who controlling what right now. You just make an intention. or several intentions, that you keep the body erect, in the sense that you keep it upright, and then you you direct the mind into just noticing the movement. Once in a while, the body will start to shake again. Then, because of your clarity, you know it. Then you stop the body for a while. Then you keep noticing this one. Now, after you do this for a while, to and fro, again and again, your mind will know how to, and the mind and the body will know how to readjust, and then your body will start to stabilize again. And then the object also still very clear. Now this time the object can push, can pull, can turn and twist, but the body is still steady. So this time is about a skill. So you are going through these things, and also most of the yogis also actually have to go through this also, because as you meditate deeper and further, objects tends to become very clear to you, and when it's clear to you, it will start to impact the body. This is where your balance, in the sense of you must know how to keep the body still, but the object, you keep it going. You keep it going. So this is again a skill that you need to develop after some time. It's not, you're not going to be successful in the first time doing it. It's going to be a to and fro until you get it right. Until you get it right, and then your body is steady, then you can able to notice everything very clearly without the body is moving. So don't worry about who is controlling the movement at this time, because if you're going to ask that, then after that, during that time, more doubt will coming in, more doubt after that. Is it me or is it I? Is it that one? Don't worry, just stop, the body will do, and then just carry on with the noting. Then fine. Okay. Next question. All right. Now this one also, a lot of people have it. 1. I always experience headache or migraine. Sometimes for the whole sitting, about an hour, I just noted the headache. I noted objectively the location, the tension, intensity, etc. of the phenomena with no expectation, bad noting. As long as the phenomena were quite clear, I continued. I usually felt better after the sitting. Please comment. Okay. Now this one, quite a lot of people have this type of headache, migraine. For me too also. At times, when sitting in meditation, here pulling, there pulling, everywhere pulling. Because why? Because sometimes thinking of the Dhamma, what to give talk, what talk to give, and then that's why all headache come up. like sometimes think of what Q&A want to how to answer the question, and then also headache. And sometimes the headache followed me until tomorrow, And after meditate, also got these things. And what more for you all? You even have more work than me. Mine is only thinking of the Dhamma a little bit here and there. But for you all, you have to do your job, you have a family, you have this and that, everything you have to think about. So you have even more headache. I think so, But some people don't have much of it. Maybe their karma is quite good. Anyway, since the headache is there, you notice the location, tension, everything. You do it correctly. No problem. Now, so you felt better after the sitting, usually. But sometimes for many people, the more they note this headache and note this migraine, at the end, even lagi teruk. They come out the headache even more terrible. They have to take some paracetamol or whatever, So what can we do with this? What can we do with this? Sometimes during my meditation, when I felt that there's headache going, I know the headache is there already. I know when it's sitting down, it's going to come. I've done it for so many times, you know that this is going to come already, because of experience. So usually what I do is this. Usually when these things happen, these things happen, I usually do walking meditation. And normally during in my my daily practice also, I don't practice much. Not to say that we are in the retreat, we don't practice much also. But nevertheless, I start off with walking first. You start off with walking, because the body is a gross object, it's a moving object. Now, it's easier for the mind just to settle down towards the moment, the present moment, rather than just using the straight away going into rising, falling, or in breath, out breath, and so on. So usually I build up that mindfulness first. Build up that mindfulness. Sometimes takes me 5 minutes, sometimes take me 10 minutes, sometimes take me 20 minutes, It doesn't matter. Sometimes a bit longer, sometimes a bit shorter. It's perfectly all right. It depends on the day. So I do it until I feel that there is some mindfulness is coming in already. Some clarity of the mind, and the things that I was doing earlier on, like the Dhamma and all that thing, those thoughts is already starts to disappear, It starts to disappear, and then the mind is following the body. The mind is following the body at this time. And you can see that because the mind is following the body, and you can notice that the body felt easier, lighter. Then after that, then only I go into a sitting. When I go into a sitting, okay, the tension is there. You will know, and usually when I do this, usually the tension is not so much, not so strong, not a prominent object anymore. It's not a prominent object anymore. So I can go to the in breath, out breath, rising, falling, whatever sensation that I feel that I want to go. This usually is like that. But then after that, when I come out from the sitting later on, then after that, the headache and migraine start to slowly creep again, come in again. At least I have a window, Now, let's say another situation that when you sit down and then the migraine is still there. The migraine is still there, the headache is still there. Now, here, there are perhaps one or two ways that you can do. Like what you say, when you notice this. Now here, when you want to note these things in this way, for those who are also want to note it in this way, that you got to be very gentle with that noting. Because this time the object is very strong already. The migraine headache is very powerful. So therefore, you need to be gentle. That means when you notice this headache or migraine, you just notice whatever the name you want to pull. You just say pulling softly. Softly. Just sometimes you notice it pulling to the left a bit, pulling to the right a bit. Sometimes it expands a bit. Sometimes it changes a bit. Perfectly. If you notice it for a while, perfectly. But you notice it a bit more softly, There are some people notice it with a very trying to suppress it now with this type of headache. That one is no good. That one, because you have ulterior motives already, because you want it to go away. And once you want to go away, that means you are not accepting the nature as they really are. So if you cannot accept it, and then a lot of time you don't realize it, and then you want to note it, pulling, hot. You try to fight fire with fire. Surely the migraine is going to go haywire, go even more terrible, and after that, your mindfulness gone. So when you want to fight with a hard object, strong object, so your mind has to be firm, but but more softer type of noticing. And because the object is already so clear right now. So if you can do that, then it will be good. Then usually, if you can use that object to notice it, and then the mindfulness will develop, which is good. Another way is that you have to ignore the headache or the migraine. Some of the time, not all the time, some of the time. Ignoring means sometimes it's not easy because you're going to the headache, the migraine is going to pull you back to it, and the pulling sensation and so on. So what can you do is that you gently coax the attention. You will persuade the attention to go towards the whole body. Take a more don't take a small object, because when you take a small object, that object is so strong. You naturally the mind will be pulled back to the headache. So you take a bigger object, like the whole body. Like the whole body. You feel the sensation of the whole body for a while. Feel it for a few times, and then go back to a migraine a bit, then pull it back again, just noticing the body for a while. And because of that, sometimes the mind starts to relax. The mind starts to relax, the body starts to relax. And sometimes when the relaxation comes in, the headache also begin to disappear. Or if it doesn't disappear, it becomes like much less than what you begin. This is some of the things that you can do. Pull the mind away from this one, away from the migraine, and look for another clear object. Especially in a sitting, like you look for the whole body, and that would be very good. Number 2, when I noted the rising and falling of the abdomen, I noted rising, end of rising, falling, end of falling. Both endings, I could not note the breaks. Later, the phenomenon became more fine and subtle. Then I applied more effort, and I tried to note ardently. I could continue to note it quite clearly. At this juncture, the sitting, touching pressure, and the buttocks were clearer. Question: do I switch or continue noting rising and falling when they become finer? All right. So, you notice the rising and falling. Okay. All right. One of the problem that your rising and falling become finer is maybe it's because of your noting itself, and the way you note the way you note an object. You see, when you're noting rising, falling, that means you are just like taking not to say cannot, but it all depends on time. It depends on certain condition. Sometimes when your energy is already clear, your energy is already stabilized, and object is already clear, then you put in more energy into it now. When you put in more energy into it, and then you try to become more sharper in the rising and falling. Maybe because of at times the mind is impatient. The mind is impatient. Once it's become impatient, it try to note rising, falling, got ready then rising some more, and then see whether got some more things or not. Yeah. Then he wants to push the mind. He wants to push the mind to note it even more finer in that sense. But your mind is not ready for it. Your mind is not ready for it. And then when you over push it, some people goes into concentration, some people go into more energy. So when you go into slightly more concentration, that means your rising and falling is going to go finer and finer and finer. So it's going to go finer. So what is important here, when you note your rising and falling, if it's a single rising, you note it one time will do. If it's a come in like a step 2 or 3 or 4 steps of rising and falling, then you note a few steps of rising and falling, rising, or falling. If the object shows you, if the object doesn't show you, for example, if you only have a rising only, then only you inside there, you're like rising. And then it's like one object, you try to shoot it with so many times. Then that is where, for some people, the concentration will start to develop. And when it starts to develop, that is where things become not, your rising, falling becomes not clear. And then if you switch over to your buttock, because the buttock or the sitting, touching, they are clear at it, therefore your whole mind become balanced again. Things become clear to you. That's why you say it's clearer. So you got to be careful. You got to be careful on sometimes in this one. At times you can do it, at times you cannot. Because at times the rising, falling is just a one up and one down. So that time you just put one rising and observe what is going on. But if it shows you like 3 or 4 rising at that time, and then you put 3 or 4 rising, it's perfectly all right. But if you just one rising only, but you want to put 3 or 4 labeling inside there, that can be a problem. That is where you start to disturb your faculties already. Because we are not talking about one rising, we're talking about so many rising, so many fallings that is going to happen in the near future. So just have to be careful. So things become finer because of sometimes it can be too many notings itself. Okay, so be patient. Be patient. Let the object, let the phenomena open up to you. Let it comes to you. Let it slowly open up to you. Sometimes you may, in the certain sittings, you may notice a few rising and falling, a few rising, a few falling. But another sitting later, you only notice one rising only. But then you remember back, hey, that sitting, I can notice that rising. I want to go and see that rising. So in this sitting, can I just do rising, so that I can see what I've seen in the past sitting, So because of that, the mind becomes all haywire also. All these things Yogi has done, So you just be careful. All right. Next one. Bante, regarding faith. In my family, especially my parents, they don't understand the Dhamma. They still believe in a lot of superstitions. Okay. What should I do to make my parents to have more faith and taking refuge in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and Sangha? Is there a way so that they can follow me walking this path of truth? Please, Bante, give me advice. Also difficult for me. I want to tell my dad also, susah also. Anyway, what can we do with this? What can we do with this? Sometimes it's not just for you, it may be your parents, Sometimes for most of you, it may be your children or maybe your spouse. That sometimes in the family, one person in the family, is more deeply into the Dhamma, into the practice, and the rest of them is totally have no inclination towards it. And then sometimes they may think that you are going overboard, they may think. Now here, it's not easy to convince people. It's not easy to convince people. What you should do, perhaps you should do, is to make yourself an example. You make yourself an example in the sense that you just keep to your path. You just keep to doing what is right and avoiding what is unwholesome. You just keep doing what is wholesome. There will be times. Then when sometimes your parents or your children go into difficulties, and then that is where you step in. When you step in, you offer your wisdom and you offer your faith to them. And that wisdom or faith to them, and sometimes if they can see that, perhaps in the future they may change for the better. Sometimes people, difficult for them to see the truth of things as they really are. You know? It's not easy because of our ignorance is so strong in all of us. And therefore, sometimes people need certain degree of suffering first. Then only they realize the Dhamma. Like some of you maybe also, you know, I see that, ka lai chui Dhamma, you know. You know. So something like this. Sometimes people go through a certain degree of suffering. So you just have to be patient. You have to be patient. All you need to do, as I said, you carry yourself day to day with the Dhamma. You act with the Dhamma, you speak with some Dhamma, you speak with some clarity, understanding, then they will follow you in the future. Once in a while, what you can do also, you can also like sometimes what we says that you can just put a few Dhamma books around here and there, you know, a simple Dhamma books. Don't go and put the Abhidhamma and all that thing there. Nobody is going to understand. You're going to put a very simple Dhamma books like Dana, things like Three Refuges, you know, just put it around there that they can understand, and once in a while they'll take it up and do all these things. Perhaps they may you know have the chance to take it up. You know? It's not easy for you to force them about the Dhamma. You know, you're going to tell them this is wrong, this is right, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is no good, and so on. They're already attached to all these things so long already. It's not easy for them to undo. Sometimes you tell it to them, they already push you further away. Sometimes in this superstition also the same thing, you know, that we Chinese and also Indonesians and wherever, we have a lot of these superstitions, especially in regards to many things, you know, many things unseen or seen also. So all these things we have to sort of tolerate. We have to tolerate a little bit. We cannot ask them to totally don't do that. It's impossible. They already been doing it for so long. Until they begin to able to realize for themselves, then they slowly can able to remove those things. Other than that, it's very difficult. I do not know really because I tried here and there. Somehow or another, when I want to convince people on Dhamma, it's very hard to go inside them. Unless they come to me. Then it's easy because their mind is more open already. And I'm on the second approach, you know. I'm not the missionary type who go into the world out there and then go and spread the Dhamma in such a way. Me is that I stay where I am. You need the Dhamma, you come and see me, then I provide it to you. It's a different approach. So something like this. So it's not easy. Sometimes it's very much to do with their faith and a little bit of your convincing, a little bit of your talking with them. If they cannot hear, don't over push them. You know, leave a few books here and there, or maybe some CD, or maybe some video, or whatever. You know, if they can understand. I don't have much of experience in this one. Okay, let's me do what's next. Okay, in the last Dhamma sharing, Bhante mentioned 3 doors leading to realization. In Sangha-nusati, there seems to be 4 aspects for the Dhamma to perfect their role and responsibility. The Samicipatipano seems to be a crucial step to purification of mind. The need for concord, balance, and being responsible is seen as the path. Appreciate your thoughts on this aspect as door enlightenment. So, Patipattam Bhagavato Sawaka Sangha. Okay, this one. In the past Wednesday, we are talking about the talk on the 3 doors of realization. And this one, they are connected, but they are not immediately connected. When we talk about 3 doors of realization, that one is how you, just before you enter into Nibbana, it's just before you enter into Nibbana. Whereas when you talk about these 4 aspects of the Sangha, you're talking about the overall of everything. Overall of the practice, that you must practice the Noble Eightfold Path correctly, you must practice it with a lot of effort, you must not have ulterior motives when you practice the Sila Samadhipanya. You know, you're talking about the overall, you're just talking about the general aspect of it. When we talk about the three doors of liberation, it's just before you enter into enlightenment. What happens just before? How do you notice the object? In what way? Are you noticing in arising and passing away in such that it is impermanent? Or more towards the arising and passing away as dukkha? Or arising and passing away as anatta? And then because of that, you see it, then you enter into Nibbana, or you realize Nibbana. You know, you already have all the four aspects. It's ready already. It's all you practice, everything that you practice to the right to the tip already. Now it's just how to enter only. So we are talking about a piece of puzzle. Then you're talking about the whole aspect itself. So it's not in a way connected, I mean, it's connected, not to say it's not, it's a way connected, but it's not what I'm looking at this one. So this, perhaps you get this understanding wrongly. The three door of liberation is just before you enter into realization. Not the whole, not all these things. Okay. Now, are we too blinded in faith and knowledge, too self-absorbed in our ways, validating our behavior and vindicating others who do not comply to our norms? This entrapment in our culture, beliefs, and traditions seems to be really keep us stuck in book knowledge and information and refrain the possibility of going against the flow of materialistic social structure and we inherit from birth and clinging to it till we die. In between, we seek religion and feel protected by the Dhamma. But is it really what the Buddha discovery entails? All right. Okay. Now, you see, here, for some of us, we don't realize that the intellectual desire, in other words, the intellectual clinging is so strong in us. We are so connected to the concept and the rationality and the studies that we have that we don't really understand what is it all about. This one, the intellectual craving, it's fall under bhava tanha. Bhava tanha, there are three types of craving. Sensual craving, craving for becoming, craving for non-becoming. And this one is fall under craving of becoming. How does it fall under becoming? Because you want it more and more. And this is not fall under sensuality or five senses, but it's fall under, you want to make things become, to cling on to it and to hold on to it and to create more and more until it goes into all kinds of views and all kinds of irrational thinking and so on. Even the Dhamma also is all entangled inside there. And then we do not want to let go. We do not want to let go. We do not want to let go until we are so, we of course, what you say, we want to make other people to conform to your norms because we are holding on to our thoughts so strongly. So, the thing is that you already asked me this question on the 11th of June, on a Friday also. This is you're asking me a similar question, but you put it differently, because again, this is people attached to all this book knowledge. You have to be careful, you all have to be careful that you don't realize that sometimes this craving is so strong in us that sometimes for this type of the craving is so strong in us, it sometimes it overwhelms sensual craving. Still another form of craving. It overwhelms sensual craving. The mental stimulation is more exciting and more interesting to some people. So if you are in this category, you just have to be careful. You have to be careful. And this type of questions, you only can look into yourself, and make sure you don't look at everybody else. Because if you look at everybody else, if they have it, you cannot change them. You only can change yourself. And hopefully, if you can able to realize that if you have all this attachment to all this intellectual thing, then you have to be careful. Not this book knowledge and Dharma knowledge and so on. They are helpful. They are tools only. They are just tools for our happiness, whether in this life or in future life or towards liberation. And don't use it for don't cling to it, don't hold on to it, don't attach to it. All these things keep on changing just like, for example, some people have this idea of COVID and all that. COVID is keep on changing. If you have idea from the last year, now cannot apply already, By next year, you still hold on to what you think is right now. Next year is already maybe a different story altogether. COVID changing even more faster. So the same thing also. Don't hold on to our knowledge and hold on to it. Finally, is that we have to put into practice. If you want to debate how these people should not do it, and forget about other people, because they will. This type of cleaning is not easy for them to let go. It is easy for you to see for yourself, and then you let go for yourself, and then you move forward into the development of the mind, rather than stuck with this book knowledge, And hopefully, if you are like that, hopefully you can able to slowly drop it and go into a more mental development. That will be easier for you. If you keep on debating on this, and also on the past talk also the past Q&A also, you also asking the same thing, but there won't be any solution for it or any good answers for it. It's finally you are the one who able to let it go. Yeah? Okay? All right. Next question. It looks difficult, but I think I wouldn't able to answer the question. Okay. My question is, what is the mind-produced matter mentioned below in the immaterial formless plane? Again, this one is going to be a bit difficult for many of you, or 99.9% of you. In the immaterial plane, dependent on the one internal aggregate ... It's a bit difficult to see. Let me put it. Okay. Dependent on internal aggregate arises mind-produced matter. Okay. You are going to have a hard time to answer it. A hard time to understand the question. Okay. All right. Let me go back to the question now. Okay. What is mind-produced matter mentioned below in the immaterial formless plane? I don't really know what is in the immaterial plane of existence that you can able to produce matter. Okay. Now, first of all, that I try to look into the Pali version of this thing, but it's so difficult to find even one of it. In the Pali version of suttas, it's so much easier, because it goes by. But this one, the Pali version is so difficult to look for it. So I gave up on looking. Because why I want to look for it? Because of the ... You see, there's many ... there. There are words inside there which they correlate to some another page and so on. Then it's bit difficult, bit difficult for me to understand. Now, I'm not sure whether when it's translated, whether it's immaterial plane or is it an immaterial state. Because therefore I need to go into a Pali in order to see it, but I couldn't find the Pali part of it. I know it's somewhere inside there because I have all the patana in Pali, but I couldn't find it. That's all. Difficult to find. Every of the page, everything looks the same one, here, this one. Almost everything. But anyway, let's go back to the question. Let's go back to the question. What is mind-produced matter, first of all? Okay, mind-produced matter or matter that is produced by the consciousness. If you look into the Abhidhamma, yeah? there are ways how our this body or mind, this matter being produced. One is that nutriment. You makan, you eat, of course you grow fat lah. Then that is matter being produced by nutriment. Material produced by temperature. Temperature, that means you boil something, then or you heat up something change, or your food become cooked. Then the matter has changed, then it's produced. That's what it originate in that sense. Or another way is karma. You look in such a way compared to your siblings or compared to another person. You don't look the same. Why? Because of karma produced matter. So what is mind produced matter or consciousness produced matter? Consciousness produced matter means that, let's say, you want to move your hand right now. You think of you want to move your hand right now, or you intend to move your hand right now. Then your hand is moving. The movement was not there before, but when the intention arises, the movement takes place. But the thing is that we don't see the matter, the body is being produced at this time. We only see the hand move forward only. What is there to produce? It's because that we don't see into the arising and passing away yet. Therefore, we cannot see how the matter arises. Now, if you are in the practice, when you notice an intention, then usually, if your mind is sharp and clear during that time, then when you notice an intention, then you notice that when the hand moves, there's a lot of arising and passing away taking place. So for example, even that in this rising and falling also, when you notice it, the rising arises, then that rising also dependent on the mind too, because the mind is so fast, the rising and falling is so continuous. It's hard for us to see this mind produced matter. It's only when you go into the deeper aspect of the meditation, especially in Vipassana, you can actually see this mind produced matter. Okay, so mind produced matter in the immaterial plane. Now here, this mind produced matter or consciousness produced matter, also the same thing is that when you are meditating, and let's say you are in the jhana, and let's say this time you are in the arupa jhana, immaterial state of mind, you're already able to attain arupa jhana, and you are sitting down at that moment, and you can sit there for, let's say, 3 hours, and you are absorbed in the immaterial jhana. So while you are sitting, that immaterial jhana is producing the bodily posture for you. Therefore, you are sitting. But we don't think of it, usually think it that way. Usually, but if you go into deeper aspect, is the consciousness of the arupa, of the arupa jhana is producing that posture of sitting at that moment of time. Okay, so it's called consciousness produced matter. Now, if the person died and reborn in the formless plane of existence, okay, Now, in the formless planes of existence, it's only resultant consciousness that previously, while you're still alive, maybe still as a human, you're already able to attain arupa jhana. When that time, when you're able to do that, then you can have you still have a body. But whereas when you come into arupa realm of existence, that resultant consciousness of the immaterial states that you are, the arupa state that you were in, this time the resultant consciousness does not produce matter. That means there's no body there. There's no body. So the thing is that, as I said, this is what I know. But what is in the passage there, I cannot see it fully because of the dotted there. So I cannot really answer you in your question, but I can answer you on what I know. The resultant consciousness of the arupa realm, arupa state, does not produce matter in that sense. Okay? That's it. That's it for tonight. There's nothing else. All right. So, all right. So therefore, we will we'll stop here. All right. And we'll continue the Dhamma talk on Monday. All right. Okay.